Bowman said. Open the port bay doors. How? How? 9000 says. I am sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. 2047, a Hong Kong Space Odyssey for my sister. I, too, can't open that door, can't lend a hand, can't. 2 years from being a septuagenarian. Time never elegizes. We keep waiting, my sister and I, at the door. It isn't a human error, but something more systemic, like an army of red dots watching and listening. Let's talk to the leaves, she says. They will have answers. So I conjure up from Project Gutenberg the sniff of green leaves and dry leaves, hopeful green, green intertinged, the dusty green of the rye, pale green eggs in dented sand, dark green lobsters. She footstops my lips with a finger. I fast forward the rest of the 45 green occurrences in that mighty book of Mr. Whitman. Other colors have no place in our kingdom of red. Don't hyper-process the past, she says. They can detect nostalgia, even the literary kind. I shake my head and throw a pen into space. It falls flat on the ground, opening up into a well that returns a sound like water. Don't waste your gravity quota, kid. You'll regret it. Intermission. Do you remember you stole Mum's lipstick? Do you remember the red spread like a virus on your 3-year-old mouth? Do you remember next to the lipstick a small thing sealed in paper? Do you remember I asked you not to open it? Do you remember those bright, shiny things inside the wrapping paper and how I screamed? Do you remember the blade? The blood coating your mouth, slightly scented by the red pigment only found in Chanel lipsticks? Do you remember I set you by the window to show you the clouds over Victoria Harbour in the distance? Do you remember counting those glass and steel monoliths across the water from our own monolith? Do you remember how long it took the blood to congeal? Do you remember it was 1985, 1 year after the John Declaration was signed by Dunn and Thatcher? Do you remember those tanks on the television? Do you remember the 2 indistinguishable eras of face masks? Do you remember the writing on the London walls? Do you remember being blue or yellow or both or none? Do you remember what happened afterwards? Do you remember those complex variations of green and how suddenly, perhaps it was the wind, perhaps algorithms, a wide gap opened up between 2 leaves of grass and the sun stabbed straight into our eyes? Do you remember how to remember and disremember? Do you remember me?